When people talk about analytical development, they often assume it means the same thing across the entire drug life cycle. They expect one definition, one standard, and one level of rigor. That assumption, though, it quietly creates more problems than most teams realize, leading to confusion and delays down the road. The truth is, analytics is not just one thing. The word is the same, but the role it plays is entirely different, depending on where you are in the journey of developing a new medicine. Its purpose changes as a program evolves from a promising idea into a clinical candidate, and finally into a commercial product. If your analytical strategy doesn't evolve with it, you either slow development unnecessarily with too much rigor, or you introduce risks that only surface much later, when they are far more difficult and expensive to fix. Across the drug life cycle, analytics moves through three core roles. It starts as a tool for learning in the discovery phase. Then, it transitions into a tool for enabling decisions in early development. Finally, it becomes a tool for risk control in late-stage development. Each of these roles answers a different fundamental question, and each requires a completely different mindset. Understanding this progression is the key to building an effective analytical strategy. Many of the analytical problems that teams encounter are not technical failures. They're actually strategy failures. It's often a case of using the right tools, but applying them at the wrong time, or expecting them to answer questions that were never designed to answer. This mismatch between the tool and the task is a primary source of friction and inefficiency in drug development. Let's start at the very beginning. In discovery, where the role of analytics is often misunderstood, this is a stage where well-intentioned rigor, the kind that will be essential later on, can unintentionally slow progress to a crawl. It's about finding the right balance between exploration and formal analysis. In discovery, analytics is primarily a learning tool. Its job is to help research teams understand what they have, how the molecule behaves under different conditions, and where potential risks might emerge as the chemistry and formulation evolve. It's about generating knowledge and reducing scientific uncertainty, not about locking down specifications. The questions here are exploratory. What species are actually present in this sample? How stable is the molecule when we expose it to light or heat? How does it respond when we make small changes to the manufacturing process? What trends are we seeing that might become important later in development? We're gathering clues and building a foundational understanding of our molecule. A very common mistake at this stage is applying development-level rigor way too early. This looks like fully validating analytical methods before they're even stable, overinterpreting every tiny impurity signal, and treating exploratory data as if it requires the same level of justification you need for a regulatory filing. This premature formality creates work that doesn't add value and can stifle the creative process of discovery. So, the main takeaway for discovery is this: analytics should guide direction. Its purpose is to reduce uncertainty and support scientific learning. It is not yet intended to establish formal control strategies or define final regulatory positions. It's about pointing the way forward, not building the final road. As a program successfully moves out of discovery and heads toward filing a pre-IND application and into early clinical development, the role of analytics begins to shift. The questions change. And so should the strategy. The exploratory phase is giving way to a more focused, decision-oriented approach. Now, analytics must directly support critical decisions. Is this batch of materials suitable for toxicology studies? Is the quality high enough for first-in-human dosing? Are the key risks associated with the molecule and its impurities understood well enough to move forward responsibly and safely? The answers to these questions have real-world consequences for the program's timeline and for patient safety. At this stage, your analytical package doesn't need to have every single answer. It needs to provide enough clarity to support the very next decision. The goal is informed progress, not premature perfection. We're looking for phase-appropriate rigor doing. Just enough of the right work to de-risk the next step, without getting bogged down in details that won't matter for another year or two. Then, as we move into late-stage development, perhaps phase 3 and beyond, analytics changes again, and the expectations increase significantly. The flexibility of early development is replaced by a need for consistency and control. The stakes are higher, the scale is larger, and the regulatory scrutiny is far more intense. Now, the focus is squarely on control. We need method robustness and reproducibility, to ensure our tests give the same result every time, everywhere. We need clear, justified specifications that define what is acceptable. We need rigorous change management and lifecycle control to manage any adjustments to our processes or methods. Analytics becomes an integral part of the quality system that supports a reliable and consistent supply of the drug. If your analytical strategy doesn't evolve with the program, the cost of that misalignment will eventually appear. It might show up as unexpected delays in your timeline, pointed questions from regulatory agencies during a review, or even supply risks right when you're relaunching a product at time. When timelines are tight and your flexibility is almost zero, getting it wrong early on creates problems that are much harder to solve later. The key insight here is that strong analytical development is not about doing more testing or generating more data. It's about doing the right amount of work at the right time and for the right reason, to support the specific needs of the program at each stage. It's about being strategic, not just busy. In this series, I'll walk you through exactly how this analytical thinking evolves from discovery all the way through late-stage development. We'll dive into the practical details of what that looks like at each phase. In the next episode, we'll examine the single most common analytical mistake made in early discovery programs and why it matters so much. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. If you found this useful, please subscribe and share.